Hi, my name is Lee and welcome to my channel Cola Flip. I'm a UK eBay reseller. I buy second-hand goods at car boot sales and charity shops and I flip them online for a profit. It's been a while, so apologies for not having a video out for quite a while, but I've just been stupidly busy, and unfortunately with the day job, sorting issues out with the car, doing up the house, trying to build a tack shed in the garden, YouTube unfortunately has to take the back seat when it comes to those as priorities. But I did want to give you guys an update and a best of a sales roundup for my last quarter. I rarely do sales roundups, but if you want to see what I sell on a more regular basis, have a look at my Instagram feed, because I pick out random bits and pieces that hopefully will help share my mindset of why I've bought stuff, what I've paid for it, and what I've achieved price wise. But I thought I'd give you a quick roundup of the last quarter. So what I'll do, I'll split the screen, and that way you can see what I'm talking about. So I guess we should crack on. Actually, before I go through the roundup, stick around to the end, because I'm going to go through some stats on the numbers and figures of I'm very methodical about keeping records of what I'm buying, and that really helps me make better buying and selling decisions in the future. So I'll go through some of the stats on that, because it's quite clear that I've got a very different strategy for my buying and selling than a lot of other resellers, and that may be useful to some of you. So please stick around, and I'll go through that after the roundup. But let's crack on. So these are just a few random things, but they are hopefully ones that will give you a little bit of an insight into how my mind works. So first one I'll go for, it's a pair of mint velvet boots, ankle boots. I paid £8 for them, boxed, brand new, at a car boot, and flipped them for £60. I do like mint velvet as a brand, but I'm quite picky about it. I usually try to get it in, so if it's clothing wise, try and get it in a size 8 and above. Maybe 10 and above. Smaller sizes take longer to sell. They still do sell, but they take longer. But with regards to shoes, I've flipped them for decent money over the last year. I've managed to get quite a few pairs of new ones, and if I can sell them for 45 to sort of £60, quite happy with that. So yeah, really pleased with that for 8 into 60. Next one, got Le Creuset cast iron griddle pan. Everybody knows Le Creuset sells well. Always make sure that you're paying a sensible price for the condition it's in. I've not actually picked up a lot of the actual casserole dishes or pots, but I have sold a couple of the griddle pans, and they sell well. They are heavy, so they won't. They're usually over 2 kilos, so they won't go Royal Mail. You'll have to send them with a courier that will take up to 5 kilos. I think they're somewhere between 2 and 3 kilos. So take that into account when you sort out your postage. But this one I picked up at a car boot. At my local car boot, I was having a chat with James Webster, James Collects, and we were finishing up, just having a look at each other's goodies that we'd picked up, and I thought I'd do one last round of the car boot before going home. And this is about 9:30 in the morning, so I'd been there for a good 3 and a bit hours, and there was I could see this cast iron pan that I don't know how many times I'd gone past it, but I'd not seen it before. I don't know how it hadn't been sold then, but I only paid £2 for it. And all I can wonder is that maybe other resellers or other people had seen it there, wondered why it was still there at that time in the morning. It must be priced too high and didn't bother to ask. Or the person got bored and just wanted to get rid. But for £2, an absolute bargain. I think I put it up for 65 and ended up taking an offer, £46.74. I'm more than happy with that. Shoes and boots. I sell a bit of everything, but I do tend to have the majority of my stuff is shoes and clothing, footwear, etc. Because I like the fact that it's typically under 2 kilos, so it's Royal Mail, easy, small parcel, £3 postage. It's unbreakable, pretty much. Easy to store, easy to pack. A little bit of hassle photographing or cleaning wise. So shoes I have to spend a bit of time cleaning, clothing, clean it, iron it, and a bit more hassle photographing and measuring. But for me, rather than going with your your lower end brands. I tend to stick with the higher end brands, which I can afford to do because I'm a part-timer. If I was a full-timer, I would have to go for a wider range of selling points. But I try to make, if you've seen my videos before, you know this, I'll try and make about a £20 profit after costs and fees if I can. This particular pair, I paid £8 or £10 for it. Timberland, it's a good, well-recognised brand. Walking, hiking boots, typically any specialist shoe tend to sell more than just your bog standard shoe. So if it's a cycling shoe, a walking boot, anything that's fit for a specific purpose, you can tend to charge a little bit more for, because they usually cost a little bit more. So £8 to £10, paying up a little bit for them, but they cleaned up really nicely. I think I put them up at 65 and they went out on an offer at 51.99. So again, decent. Oh, actually no, I've got the details here. I listed at 65 and I sent out 20% offers, or 20% off offer to get them out, and still that's a really decent profit at £52 when I only paid £8 in. So yeah, can't complain with that. Next one, a pair of Paul Smith black leather trainers. I sold them at £50. I only paid £2. The lady who was selling them was, I can't believe she's only asking £2 for a pair of Paul Smith trainers, but she told me she was clearing out all her I don't know if it's ex-boyfriend or ex-partner or whatever, but she was clearing out all the stuff he'd left over at her place and just wanted it gone. So I picked up a pair of Paul Smith trainers for £2, so very happy with that. I priced them high again. I think I'd put them up, again, maybe around 60, 65 pounds. And I had someone offer me 25 quid, 30 quid, and I went back with a higher offer, and they said, oh, you're a joker, you're not going to get that. I don't care what other people think I'm going to get, because I don't mind holding stock for a while. It's, as far as I'm concerned, whether it's listed and stays there for 2 weeks, 2 months, a year, yes, I will drop the price, but there's always going to be a calculation that I do when I'm buying, that I know, okay, I could flip it quickly and get the money in, and then reinvest that into more stock. I've got a lot of stock, so I really don't care. I'll let it sit there for a bit, and that means that I can get much higher profit margins on each item. So 250 quid, yeah, more than happy with that. Next one is more of a bread and butter type item for me. With regards to footwear, I do sell men's, women's, whatever, I don't care. But I tend to find that I get fewer returns with ladies' boots than I do with ladies' high heels. So I'm not buying as many ladies' high heels unless it's a slingback, because there's more flexibility on the size. Whereas with boots, there just tends to be that little bit more flexibility anyway. And I've started being a bit more, Clark's shoes I wouldn't always pick up, but Clark's boots, they usually go well. And one of the other good things is Clark's are renowned for their fitting and people making sure they've got the right size shoe. So if people are buying Clark's shoes, they know their size in a Clark's shoe. So it makes it an easier sell for me. So I know that if I've got Clark's boots or shoes, they will typically not be an issue to sell, because they've got quite a high typical initial buying price in the shops, which means they have a good value for selling on as used, as long as you've got them in good condition. And because they are a well-known brand, people know their sizes, so for me they flip quite easily without any issue. So again, I think I put them up at 35-ish, sold for £28, and I bought 2 pairs. She wanted a tenner each, and I got them for 2 pairs for 15 or 14 pounds, I think. So that was all good. More shoes, men's shoes. These were a pair of Churches. Churches are a really high quality British brand. These were in an absolutely god awful, disgusting, rotten, mouldy looking state when I got them, but the leather was not damaged and the soles didn't need replacing. So if you've seen my other videos, my tutorials, I'm good at cleaning up a pair of shoes, and I can see through the dirt and know that I can bring a pretty tired looking pair of shoes back to life with the right cleaning and nourishing and polishing. So I bought 3 pairs of shoes for £1.50. I think one I sold for £86. I've still got one that's up for sale, and these ones I've had up for 135, dropped it to 125, 120, 115, and they ended up going for £90 as a best offer. So I think maybe I had them around the 100 park and sent £100 ballpark, and then knocked out a 10% offer, so something like that. But yeah, 50p and £90. It's worth me. This is why I put the time and effort into cleaning shoes. I wouldn't just go out and buy any old pair of smart Oxfords or wingtips, brogues, whatever. Specific brands I will pay up for. I didn't have to pay up for these, but I had to be able to see through the dirt. So it's about having a bit of knowledge, a bit of skills, and a bit of vision. You combine those, you can do well, and you can make some decent margins. So yeah, 50p into £90. Very happy with that. Picked up, this was this summer, picked up an Escada chunky woolly jumper. As I said, I buy a lot of clothing. It's my bread and butter stuff. But because of the volume of the backlog I've got, I've had to put in higher and higher profit margin requirements for me to actually source it. So if I'm only going to make 15 quid after fees, is there any point in me buying it if I've already got a couple of tubs of clothing that's going to make me 20-30 quid a pop? No. So for the moment, I've been reining in my purchasing, and that means that I'm only going for the higher end stuff for the moment. As and when I get through the backlog, I will start adjusting that threshold for where I buy, what price margin I need to make to buy. But in this case, again, I think I had it up for £65. Chunky sweater. Sweaters, jumpers, that sort of thing tend to go for more money than other types of top because they have usually got a higher initial buying price when new. So again, I keep that sort of stuff in mind. Jumpers, coats, anything that people have to invest more money in when they're new, they will expect a higher price when second hand. So I think I put it up at 65, took a £55.65 offer, and I only paid £5 for it. £5 for a jumper at a car boot sale, that's charity shop prices. So I tend to go try and get a lower price than that, but knowing it was Escada, I knew that I'd be able to command more for it. And again, it doesn't take up a lot of space, so I'm not too bothered if it sits there for 2 seasons if it has to. So yeah, really good with that. Next one was a Peli hard laptop case. Peli, I know that as a brand because one of my other self-employed jobs, I'm also a photographer, and you want to look after your equipment. So Pelican cases, they are super sturdy and waterproof. And when I saw a car boot sale, there was a Peli laptop case. I'm thinking, that's gotta have some value to it. I ended up getting it as part of a bundle, so I paid £20 for this. What else did I get? A weather station and a couple of digital cameras for 20 quid. So I chalked this up at £15 my outgoing cost. Peli cases in good condition because they're waterproof and bomb-proof, bulletproof. Well, they're not, but they're super sturdy. They're a couple of £100 new often. So I got an offer of 55, 65, and again 15 into 55, £65 or whatever. That's £55, 65 pence. It's a good profit to make. So very happy with that. This one was one of my favourite buys of the year, and I've already shared a video on it, so if you want the full in-depth video, you can just have a look back through my videos. It's 5 or 6 videos ago, and it is something that I don't pick up often, but I have been sourcing more of recently due to another reseller. So I've spoken about Sean before, so Abercrombie Art and Design. So Sean Abercrombie, he have a look at his Instagram page, he will often share absolute gems of information. He'll put a couple of pictures up of an antique, a little bit of detail about it, and I'm just constantly absorbing information that he shares. And he shared something about an Ainsley teapot and saucer, and it was a specific variety of the decoration. I think it might have been cabbage rose or something like that. This particular, by reading that and realizing how much value is in certain pieces of crockery, so in that case it was a saucer and teacup, it made me then do my own research and dig and learn a bit more about it. And I ended up buying a big bundle of Ainsley crockery for £60. The lady wanted I think it was 100 initially, but if you want to see more about that, go and check out my other video. And what is interesting about these is the thing that I really wanted was the teapot. All the other stuff has got value to it, but the coffee pot, sorry, it's the taller one, there's the coffee pot, is much more collectible. And I had a quick look in between sort of looking at the bits and pieces on the desk, and I knew that I could get maybe close to 165, maybe £190 for the teapot. I chanced my arm. I might have put it up at 265 or 290, I think. Daft prices. Within, I can't remember now, it might have been 48 hours of putting it up on eBay, I'd had a couple of offers in, and well, go and look at the other video if you want to find out about it, but it basically got into not so much as a bidding war because it wasn't going for bids, but I managed to play the two people who'd sent me offers off against each other and getting a very good price, and that went all the way out to Canada, and that was through eBay's global shipping program, GSP. So once I've got that safely to the UK depot, if it gets smashed somewhere out on the way to Canada, not my problem. I get my money back, the buyer gets their money back. But I packed it, absolute bomb-proof packing. I think it was bubble wrap, packing paper, box, then more bubble wrap and packing paper inside another box. So I double boxed it, but got there safely. So I'll chalk that up out of the total box of crockery. I'll chalk that up as £30. So £30 into £200. Yeah, can't go wrong with that. Again, as you can see, there's a theme here that I'm trying to get items that have a much higher final sale price, and that means that whilst I might have to sit on things for a while and my income is quite lumpy up and down, sometimes I'll get hardly anything in a week, and then the next week I'll get loads and loads. It means that my volume of work for the money coming in, the volume of work is low. Whereas when I started, I was putting in a lot more time and effort to get the same income. So by adjusting my attitude and sourcing strategy, it's just paid off, and it's given me more time back, and that's then allowing me to build up my war chest of listed stock, so that instead of getting one absolute banger sale of every couple of months, I'm getting a couple of banger sales every single month, and it's fantastic. So it's yes, the income is lumpy, but I'm not relying on it, so it's not the end of the world if I get a low week or whatever. So but yeah, by having more and more bangers in my my stock, it means that I'm more likely to sell higher profit items. So just don't be scared to go outside of your comfort zone, but do your research. If you want to learn how to do research, look at my how to become a better reseller videos. They may be useful. Anyway, this one, I think I had learnt about these through another fabulous reseller, Emma, who is known as She sells seashells on Instagram. I'll put the link in the description. And she had sold some vintage pyrex bowls. I'm pretty sure she got £400 or maybe £500 for them. Blew my mind that you could get 400 or 500 quid for a couple of 40-year-old bowls. Absolutely gobsmacked that was possible. So I saw that on her Instagram. locked that away for another day. Happened to be at a car boot, and I saw some old vintage pyrex, and these are a specific pattern called white, called gooseberry. So they are either white with a turquoise pattern or turquoise with a white pattern. Typically, the full set, I believe, is a set of 4 bowls. If you've got 4 bowls, that's when you can get the £400 to £500 mark. As far as I remember, go and check out Emma's Instagram and have a look, because you'll find it in there. These, I think I put them up at something like £135 or £140 on eBay. I ended up getting £114.74. So obviously that was an offer, and that has again gone out to the US via GSP. So again, it shows how important it is to be able to ship overseas. I know that it would get more, I would get more sales if I did my own postage and packaging to overseas. However, I'm so short of time, I just put on the global shipping option, which means that all I always have to do is, if someone overseas wants to buy it, I just send it to the local UK depot, and that's all I have to worry about. I appreciate it's going to cost the end user more to buy it. It's their choice if they want to buy it. They don't have to buy it. If they want to, that's great. I've got the item they want. Pay up or don't, it's your choice. Yes, I could probably get more sales, but the hassle is not worth it. And as I'm selling more higher cost items, the risk of a scam overseas or damage getting it there, it's so much more that it's just not worth my hassle and time. So for a hassle and time perspective, I tend to keep it, just use GSP. My choice, that's what I do. So yeah, this was, £4 I paid for these, and at an offer that went for £114.74. Banger. Thirsty. If you like cars, Smith and Sniff podcast, very good. Anyway, right, where was I? Scales. I have had some decent luck with precision weighing scales. I had a set of scales for newborns, for babies, that were basically, they went down to I think it was a 1/10 of a gram, or it might have been just to the gram, but it was very high quality precision scales, and I think I paid 30 quid for those and flipped them for 85, 86 pounds, something like that. And then that locked in my head, right, okay, precision scales are a valuable commodity to the right people. A couple of weeks later, I was at the same car boot, and I saw some scales which had like a little plastic tray over the top, and there were paint flecks on it. As soon as I saw that, I knew that there were paint mixing scales. When I was, how old was I? 15, 16, when I did work experience, I went to work for BMW for 5 days in the paint shop. So basically, they had me mixing up the paints for respraying cars. And I was, one of the tasks they had me doing was to mix the paints, and you had to put in the different pigments to sometimes it was a 100th of a gram. So very, very specific mixtures. So I know that this is really high quality precision gear. As soon as I realised these were paint scales, I knew there's money in it. These were by a company called Sartorius. Have a look at their website and you will see how expensive these things are new. We're talking hundreds and hundreds of pounds. So I picked these up. These were called Sartorius PMA Touch-Up. And they are specifically a paint mixing scale. I think I put them up at 165, ended up taking an offer, £140, and I had paid £15 out. But whilst it sounds daft, paying £15 for what effectively looks like kitchen scales, biggish kitchen scales, because I'd took £30 into 85 or 87 on the previous set. I know it shouldn't work like this, but in my head I'd automatically chalked it up as well. I can afford to invest £15 of that profit into these scales because I've got the knowledge that scales will sell. Keep the rest of the profit part of that profit goes on these and keep building and building. I like to just snowball the profit into bigger and bigger things. And I know I shouldn't be looking at one set of scales and putting the profit into these, but my brain works like that sometimes. It shouldn't do. Anyway, £15 into 140. Very happy with that. Okay, this one was mega. And it's thanks to George Ross. If you don't know George Ross, you probably will. If you're watching my videos, you probably already watched George's videos. He picked up a piece of electrical testing equipment. Might have been sometime, it was like last year or the year before. He paid up, he paid big money, and he got big money back. Again, that sticks in my mind, so I'm thinking, well, if I happen to come across any electrical testing equipment, I know that it's got potentially a lot of value in it. I picked up something called a Fluke 199C scope meter. It's basically a portable oscilloscope, so battery powered. You can connect it up to electrical equipment and run diagnostics, and it gives you different sine waves and whatever else, so you can detect what the issues are. I paid up for this. I paid, so at car boot, how much did I pay for this? 35 quid. It was more than that. She wanted 50 initially. We did a bit of barter, and then she forgot what she wanted and offered it for less. But buying a piece of potentially broken, untested equipment at a car boot sale for 35, 40 quid, it is a bit of a risk, because you just don't know what you're going to get for it. So you do need to be sure it's going to get more. And I knew that working one, brand new, these are about 1,500 quid. So knowing that new ones are 1,500 quid, I knew that it should really be able to have £200 value, even if it was just going to spares and repairs. When I looked into it a bit more, I thought, oh, actually, maybe I better get a bit more than this. So I was half tempted to go and get pay up for a charger and a new battery and the test leads, but that would have taken my total investment up to over 100 quid. And that's when you got to do the math and think, well, okay, if everything's working, that means that I can then sell it on for maybe £500, £600, £700, but it does take your investment up quite a lot. So I decided on this one, actually, let's just put it up for 350, spares and repairs, make it super clear it's spares and repairs, untested, don't know if it works, and see if anyone bites. Okay, I'm waffling, I'm going round in a circle here. I think I'd got an offer of, I put it up for 300, someone had given me an offer of 250. Before I'd had the chance to accept it, someone had then paid full price for it at 299. So yeah, I was quite happy with that. So whilst it's often good to take an offer quite quickly, that was just me not paying attention. Got to the end of the day, went to go and take the offer because I remember the notification coming through and someone already paid full price. So yeah, bang. Karen Millen coat. As I said, I buy a lot of clothing and I tend to stick to either designer stuff if I can help it, or high-end high street. So things such as Reese, Karen Millen, LK Bennett, that sort of stuff. This one was, I think I paid 15 quid for it, and it was a sort of a dark olive green, sort of army drab, well, you can see a picture because I'm going to stick it here, overcoat, but it was sequined, loads and loads of sequins on it. 15 odd quid, and I knew, again, I know that coats have a higher value, so if I'm spending out 15 quid, I know that I really should be able to get £40 for a coat in good condition. But knowing it's Karen Millen and seeing that because it was sequined and it was quite an oversized coat, which is in fashion, it had the sequins on it, which makes it stand out, it's Karen Millen, all those things make me think, right, I can get more. I put it up for £84.99, thinking, well, if I get an offer over 50, I'll take that. And yeah, went for £84.99, so can't complain with that. As I mentioned, specialist shoes often go well. These were some Carrymore hiking boots. I paid 15 for them, I think. I had them up at £65. I'd had a couple of offers around the £35 mark, and the reason that one of the people had put is I can get these new in sport and ski for £45, so I don't really want to spend 65 on second-hand ones, and these had been barely used. I went and had a look on the Sport and Ski website. They might have been £45, but they only had them in the size 6, and these are in a size 9.5, which is a more popular size. And they'd made this offer at some point in the middle of August, so who wants insulated boots then? So I thought, let's hang it out, wait a little bit later till it's cold in the year. If there's a cold snap, people might buy them, and they went for the full 65. So happy with that. So sometimes it is definitely right to hold your nerve and hold out for the right price, which is often the case for me. I do try and flip some things quicker, but it all depends on what the situation is. A Bieber handbag. I've had that for a long time. As you can see from the photos, I always put a measuring tape across them in at least one photo, so even though I put the details in the text, it's often useful to put a visual aid to help people assess the size of stuff. It minimises questions, minimises returns. People don't always read your text, so it's useful to put something visual in there. Paid £8. I think I had it up for 50 initially, steadily dropped it, and it ended up going, I think I'd had it down to like 40 something, and I took an offer at 35 on it. 8 into 35, that's fine. Some Air Force Ones. I tend to not bother picking up standard Air Force One trainers anymore, because there's a lot of them for sale, and that means that people are able to get, it means there's more competition for me, so it means I can't hold out for my higher price. When I'm buying Air Force Ones at a car boot sale, they're still quite expensive, even if they're just a plain black or a white pair. So I now tend to go for the more wacky stuff or not worth my time. I will only go for the Air Force Ones in good condition. If they're a bit knackered, there is so much competition out there, it's not worth my time. I don't want to pay up and then have something that sticks. So these ones are gold, it stands out. There are a couple of scuffs, but I tied them up with, you can go and get, I was on Amazon, you can get Sharpie pens, metallic ones. So I got gold, silver and copper, and I just touched up the little scuffs on it, and actually worked perfectly, looked really, really good. So very happy with that. And that was £7.50, because I got 2 pairs for 15, into 35 plus postage. So it's not setting my world on fire, but it's a good steady sale. Last one is something that's stuck around for ages, and it is a Jaeger men's vintage pea coat. This has been a boomerang. It's been sold, went out to someone, came back again because it was too big, even though it says it's XXL, and I had all the measurements in there, so that was annoying. So even though I think I paid, I paid £2.50, so I still made a lot of profit on it, but it went out £2.50, sold it for 50, came back again because it didn't fit. So I've lost a bit of my postage there, which brings up my price. And then I've managed to sell it again for £46.65. So even with the increased cost, because I've had to pay for the postage out in the first place on the return one, yeah, we've still done a decent profit on it. So yeah, really, really happy with that. So as I said, with clothing, I do try to stick to higher end brands, but also things such as your coats and your jumpers, rather than the smaller items like or thinner things like blouses and whatever, because it just means, again, my profit margins are more. As I mentioned earlier, I was going to talk to you about numbers. Most people, a lot of people, don't keep a record of their buying and selling costs. I do, because my day job, I'm working with spreadsheets all day long, so I'm competent at using them, I'm quick at using them, and I can get useful data out of them, and that useful data helps me make better buying and selling decisions in the future. I've had a look at my last 100 items that I've sold, and this just helps me understand, like I'll do this every couple of months just to see what was my average buying cost for those specific items over the last however long, 100 items. What was my average buying cost per item? What was my average selling cost per item? And because I've got all the formulas in the spreadsheet, working out all the fees and putting my postage and everything else in there, promoted listing costs, it gives me an idea of what my actual average profit is per item. So for my last 100 items sold, my average buying cost was £7.13 per item. My average sale price was £51.83 per item, which means that my average profit after, once you've taken out your postage, the cost of the item, and I haven't been putting in the exact cost of every item. I have spreadsheets for working out the averages of what my average buying cost for a pair of shoes is, and women's trainers or men's trainers or a men's jacket or women's jacket or whatever it is. So I have all those pre-put in, which saves me a bit of time, but it helps me make a better decision. My average profit per item, £32.69. I often see people in Instagram where they're trying to increase their average sale price up to £20, and I appreciate that you've got people who are doing this full time, and I'm not doing it full time. I couldn't do this strategy if I was a full timer, because I would need to have much more consistent and a much higher volume of sales. But for me, as an additional income, which is for basically, means that we've got a few more luxuries around the house. It means we can buy slightly nicer wine. It means that I can top up the holiday fund so we can go and stay in a slightly nicer place for holiday or whatever. It means I'm able to top up my pension and my savings, which means that hopefully I'll be able to retire early, and it pays a bit of extra off the mortgage. So all of this has to fit into a certain amount of time that I've got, and I don't have a lot of time. And my thoughts have always been, if I've got an item that is going to make me £10 profit, my effort put into making £10 is pretty much the same as my effort put into making 25, 35, 45 pound. So that is why I seek out the higher value, the higher profit items. So that's good. I then looked back to what did I do last year, and there is an increase. So that's why I keep these stats, as it helps keep me honest, that I can see progress, or if I'm falling back, my volume of sales is down, as in the number of items I've sold in the last 12 months is less than the number of items I sold the year before. However, because the profit per item has gone up, it means that my income has been pretty much the same. So that now means that as I'm now able to plan my time a little better, if I can list as many items as I did in the first year, but keep the profit per item as I have in this last 12 months, that means that my total income is going to go up. So for me, it's always useful to keep an eye on your numbers. Not everyone does. A lot of people leave it all to the last minute and just do their taxes, but then don't look at the granularity of what they're doing. And the other thing to keep in mind is that when you're selling lower profit items and you're selling lots and lots of small items, the fees seem to take up a bigger percentage, because that 30p fee with the managed payments, if your item's only selling for £5, that 30p takes up a much bigger percentage. If I'm selling stuff for 75 quid, that 30p is nearly insignificant. All the rest obviously is a percentage of, but again, I've done my numbers, looked at my stats, looked at over a 6 month period, and I would say that excluding my buying costs, excluding my postage, so the actual fee from eBay for the eBay fee, the VAT, don't forget, people think it's 10%. Zahir did a really good video on it recently. People still have that 10% percentage in their head, and it's not right. You look at your percentage, which there's VAT on top, which people forget, plus you've got 30p, plus any promoted listings. On average, it means that the fees that come out of any sale are about 18% for me, ballpark figure. So that means when I'm buying stuff, I can easily work out roughly what 20% is going to be. So in my head, I immediately know if I can sell something for 100 quid, 20% of that is gone on fees. That means I've got £80 coming back to me. So how much, then they work out what is a sensible amount to buy it for, what is my risks versus reward. So just keep in mind 20% is probably closer than the 10% a lot of people have in their mind. So if you're going to do anything, do some thinking about your numbers. You don't have to be as anal about it as me and keep your spreadsheets, but for me it works. It's part of my process, part of my method, and it helps me make better future decisions. So that's that. I was thinking about doing a video on goals and targets for the year, so let me know in the comments if you think that's something that you'd like to see, and I'll have a think about that. Other than that, hopefully that was useful to you and gives you a bit of an insight into my thought process and what I'm doing. But yeah, for me it's going to be very much the same. I've still, for this year, I've got a big backlog of stock still unlisted, so I'm going to be very, very strict on my buys and only buy the best of the best. So if I can keep it very similar to what you've just seen, then that will keep me out of trouble and allow me to then, if I'm buying fewer items, it means I've got more time to go through my backlog, because I've got gems in there that I haven't even bothered getting listed yet. So yeah, hopefully I'll get through that backlog and keep up the high margins. But thank you very much for watching. I shall see you next time. If you've got any comments, thoughts, or anything you'd like to see me do or talk about, let me know in the comments. Don't forget to have a look at Emma and Sean's Instagram pages, which I'll put links in the description. If you wouldn't mind, if this has been useful to you at all, you can thank me by clicking the like button. And if you haven't subscribed, please do, because I try to give out good, useful information. I don't see the point in making a video unless I'm helping people, so that's why I don't put out as many at the minute, because I haven't got a lot to talk about. But I'll try and teach, I'll try and give out information that's useful to people, so please subscribe if you wouldn't mind. And yeah, that's it. So I shall see you next time. Thanks very much. Take care. Bye bye.